Imagine it's 2018. You're watching a smartphone launch event and you're excited to see what new features are going to be launched this year. You see the launch of Snapdragon 845 along with the phones that run this chipset: OnePlus 6T, Poco F1, Galaxy Note 9. And then you see Apple's launch event where you see the new notch design in Apple's 10 series. Now fast forwarding to 2022, you're watching a smartphone launch event and one question surely pops up in your head. Exactly. Putting this perspective in graph, you can see in this graph is my personal interest in smartphones. You can see in 2018 it takes a huge rise because for me personally 2018 was a great year for smartphones. And from 2018 you can see the graph dipping down until we reach 2022. Now this is the personal graph I made, and the reason that I dipped this low because I don't think there has been very substantial or any wow feature in the smartphones from 2018, honestly speaking. Now, while we're talking about graphs, 70% of you guys are not subscribed to Microtech. So if you guys love the content, a subscribe to the channel would be very appreciated. Now, recently Xiaomi 13 Pro Ultra was launched and I was very excited to see the phone, of course, because that graph, even though it shows downgrade, I'm still excited for tech every time, just not as much as 2018, just to clarify that. And before I looked at the specs, I just made up my mind and thought, oh, what features were going to be there? And then I told myself it's going to have a LTPO AMOLED, it's going to have probably the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, it's going to have stereo speakers, good battery backup, very high watt charging, looking at Xiaomi's background, and it came out to be true. Now, that's not a bad thing. It has some slight upgrades from last gen, but even if you compare that phone to the model 2 years ago, which was Mi 11 Pro Ultra, then you'll not find that much big of a difference, and that's a very concerning thing because in smartphones in this era, 2-year gap should have a lot of changes, but there simply is not. Which brings us back to the question, have we reached the smartphone peak yet? Now, it's not that smartphones are not developing each and every year. Smartphones are experiencing a gradual development each year. But why do we consumers think that smartphones have reached its peak? I think personally there are two main reasons. The first reason is we consumers have experienced such massive growth from 2007 to 2018 in such a short time that these small developments that takes place does not intrigue us as much. Now, even Apple is aware of this. That is why you can see Apple is distributing its so-called innovation to their new generation series after 2-3 years of Androids already launching those new features that Apple calls it. And the second reason is right now we are undoubtedly in a smartphone temporary plateaus. Now, what does this mean? Plateaus simply means, you can see in this line graph, smartphones have reached innovation after innovation until 2018, in my opinion. And after that, it has reached a gradual development stage, meaning there hasn't been a substantial upgrade till now. So, does that mean smartphones will not develop any further in future? Hear me out. Now, imagine if I have an armadillos and I have a smartphone. Now, as an innovator, I combine both of these to make a smart armadillos phone. Now, it functions as a phone and it also functions as a living being. Now, as much as this crazy idea and the one who created might even be crazier, coming back to the topic, now if I somehow prove this theory into practical, I'm sure the world would be very excited for this new innovation, and I think there would be chaos, honestly, but there would be very much excitement too due to this new innovations. But the point is, for how long? As an imaginary innovator, even if I made this into practical form, people would be very excited for until 4th or 5th generation, and after we have reached the 5th generation, let's say, without substantial development, it's again gonna reach a temporary plateaus. Now you can see both of these graphs. I combined both of these and we kind of have a same type of graph even though we have different beginnings. This graph is of consumer interest in smartphones and consumers' interest in Armadillo's smartphone. It's practically the same. The ending is same. But have we reached the end yet? I think no, we have not reached the end. Now, take the example of foldables. Foldables back in 2019 was a very huge deal and everybody was like, how can they even do this? How can you fold smartphones? How can you do blah 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 blah? But coming back to 2022, those foldables does not have the same reputation as it had in 2019. This is due to, as I said already, we humans reach temporary plateaus very fast. Without substantial upgrade. Now foldables have had many upgrades, but those upgrades were not substantial from the first or second generation. So personally, that is why I think foldables are also not that big issue as it was in 2019. Now you may provide a counter argument and say me that smartphone sales are increasing each and every year even though we have reached a plateau. While this is true, but the main question again is for how long? Personally, what I think is smartphone sales are gonna reach all-time high at 2024, and after that, it's gonna plummet down and down. The main reason for this will be if there is no substantial innovation, consumers will have no need to upgrade their phone because there won't be any necessity to do it because there's not going to be anything substantial to upgrade to. Now, that is why we have seen a lot of brands trying to slow their previous gen phones. Yes, Apple, they are trying to slow their previous gen products so that people are more encouraged to buy new ones, while that problem did not even exist while they bought the phone. Now, I don't know if any company does this right now, but previously Apple has been caught doing that and they were sued a lot of money too for that. But do I still think smartphones have reached their end game? Personally, no. There are a lot of things to be excited about smartphones till now. Now, there has been a recent news where Exynos and Tensor are in a partnership and they're going to be coming out with their own new chip in 2025. And even though it may take some iterations to be a good chipset, I think that's something to be excited about too. We cannot forget Vivo's new partial drone phone. And even though we have seen the patents for it, Vivo, it's been, 4 years? I want to see the prototype, but I think that's going to be coming in future too. And by the way, that's really a great concept too. I'm not even joking. Like, think about it. You can fly your phone wherever you want as a drone to capture photos or anything. That's very innovative in my opinion. We can also not forget about the GPUs and CPUs getting smaller while the processing powers are getting larger. Take this example. In 2018, Snapdragon 845 had an Antutu score of, it capped at around 320k, let's say. And Apple's A16 right now, Apple's A16 Bionic chip caps at around 1 million. Now, the difference you can see is very, very huge. But in live action, the performance is not that big, but you can see the gap there. It's upgrading, and yeah, that's something that really blows my mind, that each and every single year the score gets higher and higher. Like, you can see Snapdragon 835, the Antutu score was 135,000, but if you compare it to Apple's latest chip right now, or Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, the difference is almost 900k. That's really surprising, and that's a good sign too. One thing I'm very interested nowadays is in mid-rangers and upper mid-rangers rather than the flagships, because upper mid-rangers and mid-rangers are bringing a lot to the table, and I'm really excited. That is why I go through all these spec sheets of mid-rangers and upper mid-rangers, and I think there is a lot of innovation in that segment too. Personally, now after watching, scripting, making this video, I have been very excited for what new is to come in the smartphone industry. And one thing we should know is there's always a calm before a huge storm. So look out for that. Peace out.